further west than the other areas, and is on this line of annularity. In other words, this thin path, 100 kilometers wide, that will experience the ring of fire. So they've got some clouds there, so they've obviously been dealing with all manner of problems this morning, but there is the first image from Tanzania. Now, let's hop back. We do not want to miss our weather news partners feed in Reunion for first contact. So let's hop back over there. I was just telling you, we were reporting live at the top of the show from the Canary Islands Observatory. Now, that is SLU's flagship observatory. The Canary Islands are off the west coast of Africa, and they are a volcanic chain of islands, and they're incredibly high, just like Hawaii. And the observatory site is 8,000 feet above the ocean, which means we're not looking through very much atmosphere. And the world's largest optical telescope is based there, operated by the Institute of Astrophysics. They're our partners at that site. Largest optical telescope in the world, and actually just a few hundred yards away from the telescopes and the domes that SLU members control every night to look at nebulae and galaxies and the planets and all manner of other fascinating celestial objects, are some of the world's largest solar telescopes dedicated to solar astronomy. So you can see we are in very capable hands and at a fantastic, we always call it a world-class observatory site, and it is. And you get to control, SLU members get to control a half-meter telescope, another 17-inch telescope, as well as some other telescopes as well, which are going to be brought online very, very soon. And if you've never seen some of the fabulous objects in the southern hemisphere, then you can use SLU's Chile Observatory to view those. The Chile Observatory in the southern hemisphere actually this year is very well placed to view Saturn and Mars, and we've been getting some fabulous views every single night. I promise not to use the word fabulous one more time in this entire show. I'll have to find some more superlatives. But anyway, we've been seeing those really nice images of Saturn and Mars every night from the Chile Observatory. Now, we are just a minute away of first contact. So first contact is when the moon is just starting to cross the sun's disk, to obscure the sun in 1 degree or another. So South Africa are going to see that kind of 48% of the sun is going to be covered. Here from Reunion, they're going to experience the ring of fire. And actually, that's going to be about 94%. But the difference there is that we'll see the entire silhouette of the moon centrally placed over the sun, and then we'll see this ring of fire, that little tiny portion of the sun, that's 6% of the sun's disk, which is still visible around it. Now, a lot of people will tell you, you know, an annular eclipse, a ring of fire eclipse is a very different animal to a total solar eclipse, and they are. But a ring of fire eclipse is just as exciting. But frankly, a total solar eclipse will bring a grown man to tears, as it's done to me several times on air for the solar eclipses that we've covered. Now, come on, we've got to keep a really close eye any moment now. Now, it's actually probably started, but it's when we can actually discern that first little chip of the sun. So we're looking for a little curved line. It's kind of a little dent in the edge of the sun somewhere in this feed from Weather News. Weather News are our partners in Japan. They're based in Japan, but they've set this feed up for us in this tiny French island of Reunion, which is eastward of Madagascar. I'm not sure whether Reunion Island actually is in the Indian Ocean, because there are a couple of oceans there that kind of merge together. I'm not sure exactly where the boundary is, but it's very, very close to the Indian Ocean. Look at this. Where is it? Where's it going to be? Come on, bets. Place your bets, please. A bit like roulette, isn't it? I'm going for, I'll just go for black, actually. How's that? That's a bit of a cop-out, isn't it? Where is that first chunk of the sun? They're getting nervous, I'll tell you. When you're doing one of these feeds, you're never quite sure, however much testing you've done, and if you're not looking at one part of the sun, you think, oh no, is it happening there? Is it happening there? I've got to move, and that's why he's doing that. He's moving it around because he's nervous. The guy who's controlling the telescope for weather news is nervous. He's thinking, it should have started by now. It should have started by now. Why aren't we seeing it? Why aren't we seeing it? I've done this so often when I've been controlling the telescopes. I am being told that they expect it to be at the 11 o'clock position. So there we are. We're looking at the face of the sun. Think about the clock face. Think around the 11 o'clock position. I can't say it. I can tell you. Is there a chunk actually being taken out of the 8 o'clock position? Can I see something there? Can you see something there? I think that's the start of the partial phase of this ring of fire eclipse at 8 o'clock. So there you go. So they were sitting there thinking, it's at 11 o'clock, it's at 11 o'clock. That's where we calculate it's going to be. So we've been talking about celestial mechanics, but so much of this is about where you are on Earth, even the rotation of the camera on the back of the telescope. It changes where that first little chunk is going to be taken from. So there it is. We've got the start, the partial phase of this eclipse from Reunion Island. So we're going to be monitoring that throughout the show. Don't forget the annular phase, so the ring of fire for them, is going to be at 9 minutes past the next hour. So that's going to happen fairly quickly for them. And don't forget, you know, we've said before in the show, the moon shadow, and that's what these people are in. They are just entering the shadow, or more accurately, the shadow is just starting to cover their location on the Earth's surface. The moon's shadow is racing across the surface of Earth at a staggering speed, supersonic speed of over 2,000 miles per hour. That changes depending upon where you are in the path. But you can see this is already, you know, pretty speedy. And you could see from the Tanzania feed that we had, who are actually they're due to get their maximum phase at 7 minutes to the hour. So hopefully they're going to sort out their eclipse feed and get us the live image streams from Tanzania, because they're going to get it. In other words, that tiny, tiny shadow that Eric Edelman was telling us about, that's the thing that's traveling at over 2,000 miles an hour across the face of the Earth. That is, it's going to hit Tanzania before it hits the island of Reunion. And in between the two, we've also got those feeds from Madagascar. So they're going to get their ring of fire in between those two. So Tanzania, 7 minutes to the hour. This one, Reunion Island. Look at how quickly this is starting to cover the sun. It's going to be at 9 minutes past the hour. Now, we've gone a little bit off schedule, but who cares? We're certainly never going to miss the money moments for you. So, what have we got? Actually, hold on 1 second. I'm just being told something else. Sorry about this. They always do that to throw me a little bit. Right. What are we going to go to next? We are going to go over to a fascinating interview that I did a while ago. SLU members and regular viewers will know that we've been broadcasting full moons each month with our partners at the Old Farmer's Almanac. But last month, we started covering our first new moon live show, where we explored the importance of the new moon sighting to the Islamic faith. Now, we're planning on making new moons a regular feature here at SLU, so please join us for those. And of course, this is a new moon. An eclipse, a solar eclipse, only occurs at the point of a new moon, so you know that it's going to be in about a month's time. So keep an eye open on the SLU homepage at slu.com for news of that. Keeping an eye on this disk. Oh, the clouds have parted again for us. That's pretty cool. But you may be wondering why I'm talking about, you know, this show now. Well, a solar eclipse, as I say, is the only time when we truly see a new moon as it's silhouetted against the sun's disk. And that actual moment of new moon is when the moon's disk is going to be central over the sun. At other times, other than solar eclipses, we have to wait before it makes its way away from the sun and starts to appear as an incredibly thin crescent moon shortly after sunset in the western sky. And this is the new moon, which is so important to the Islamic faith. Now, we thought we'd give you another opportunity to see the fascinating interview with Sheikh Abdul Bari Yahya during last month's show, where he discusses not just the importance of the moon, but also of the sun, and explains why this month is very, very important to Muslims worldwide. So here's that great interview that we did with the Sheikh.
The moon and the sun in the Islamic faith are both very, very important. Um, they, as mentioned in the Quran,